Mark, from what you were also telling us, there is a huge evolution, or certainly from Skyscanner's point of view, from just showing the lowest price and being, a meta search that just serves it up and does that, to really becoming a partner, particularly of the airlines that you work with, to sell ancillary, to be able to work with them on revenue management and promoting a good price there. There's this little small group, Google Flights out there. I'm sure it doesn't keep you up at all at night. Where does this all fit? Because, we have to look at the 800-pound gorilla. And of course, Google Flights is doing so much right now in terms of enhancing. Where's the difference, and where would a Skyscanner or Kayak or any of the metas who are trying to be better partners, doing direct bookings, really fit in with the work that Google is doing?
That's a good question. I think Google Flights, they have a lot of products. I think for us at Skyscanner, we'll continue to build world-class product. We have 1,000 employees. Over 50% of those are product and engineering. We're obsessive about travel experience, user experience, with thousands of A/B tests going on at any one time. And all we can do is focus on having a world-class product that users love and keep using. And also don't lose sight of the partner side, which is the whole direct booking piece, where we are doing much more for the airlines, and we have great relationships with them, whereas Google, has quite loose relationships with them. And the meetings I'm in with a lot of the top carriers are pretty important, pretty progressive, and we're building roadmaps together. I think if we continue to focus on the partner side and the user experience, we'll continue to be successful and retain users and continue to be successful.
Now, are you getting your marching orders from your partners? In other words, are they saying, hey, Skyscanner, now you're owned by C-Trip, you've got all this unbelievable audience that we want to get, and here's what they want. So can you build product? Can you build an experience to meet those needs? And if that's the case, what should we be looking at next from Skyscanner or anybody in the space?
I think the direct booking piece, which I covered off in the presentation, which is essentially a digital storefront for a partner, either an airline or an OTA. So whenever a user selects their itinerary, they'll actually go into a digital storefront. It'll be fully branded in the partner. It's not Skyscanner. There will be a Skyscanner attribution in terms of branding. A lot of other meta or search sites have done direct booking or facilitated booking, and they've kept their own branding within the direct booking experience. And what you get is users come in, and you've got fully branded in the meta search or the search engine, and then you've got an OTA, and then you've got a hotel, and you've got 3 brands within the funnel, and they're complaining about it not working. So we have a very different viewpoint on how it's going to work, and it's like a mall kind of experience. Mm-hmm. If you went to a mall, any mall offline to go shopping, and every store you went into was branded in the same brand as the mall, it would be strange. And it's the same online. That's the way we view the world. So that's the type of product we're trying to build, and very mobile focused as well.
Interesting. So Paul, I see you nodding about that with your experience. How do you relate that with what you're doing over at CWT? I mean, is that a similar type of thing, or you're taking a completely different approach in terms of partnering and branding and making that a seamless type of experience?
At CWT specifically, this is certainly an area of discussion internally. Well, one of the things that we are focusing on currently is, in terms of the initiatives that we have adopted, is around AI. And of course, it's fashionable to say AI, and it's a huge, vast term. We are specifically focused on two applications of AI right now. One is around natural language processing, whereby a virtual assistant can answer basic travel policy questions intelligently and be able to replicate that experience in all languages. Localization, as you mentioned earlier, is one big area of opportunity for us. The other is about conversational commerce, to enable a bot essentially to do two things. One is do the natural language processing, understand the intent versus a simple query. Simple example is, and please forgive me if you guys already know this, but it's important, I did not know about it. When you say, I want to book, in this case, book is a noun, and say, I want to book a room, and book becomes a verb, the bot has to understand the difference between just a query and a call to action. So these things seem a lot simpler than they actually are. And then the second thing is then instantly be able to transact on the go. Now, what we are, and a lot of companies are doing this, these are the two areas that are very hot right now, and we are actively involved with this, and then be able to intelligently assess a need of a traveler. As I said earlier, CWT is a completely B2B enterprise. Our clients are corporations, by default a traveler, so then the question becomes, what can a bot do intelligently that a human cannot? And the application that we're building is, if the bot had access to your travel calendar, then the bot would know you're traveling next week to New York and you have a meeting near Times Square. So when you have an interaction with the bot, say, I need to book a room, you don't need to tell them where. They say, I see you have a trip coming to New York and you have a meeting at 2 p.m. around Times Square. Can I recommend Hotel X? It's policy compliant. 20 of your peers have stayed here in the past and have rated it highly. And it's maybe like 3 miles or 3 minutes from the destination. So a bot can do all of that.
So we've been hearing about this great new world for a long time, with AI and with bots. How close are we? Because as you said, it is a bit complex with natural language. But, and Siri is what Siri is, and of course we're looking at Alexa and Echo and some other technologies now, but are we going to see a really big burst in this in the next year, 2 years, 3 years? How should everyone in this room be planning for it? And should they be looking into their own solutions with AI, whether they're hospitality or an intermediary?
Susan, I think that's a very good question. I do believe, and this is again, my belief, I could totally be wrong. I actually said at one point of time no to Airbnb when I would have been employee number 5. So take this with a grain of salt, what I'm saying. But fundamentally what we are seeing is bots have been around a while, NLP has been around a while. The adoption with the traveler hasn't been as much. And one of the working theories here is that the people who engage on the SMS platform the most are people who are not traveling for business yet. So when millennials start traveling for business, are they going to depend on a person to tell them what to do, or are they simply going to interact on a chat application and make their own travel plan? So there is going to be an inflection point, if you ask me, where we'll see a sudden trigger, spurt of growth. But to answer your earlier question, how close is it? It's actually happening right now as we speak. So we are piloting with a company out of China, and WeChat is the application. So you don't need to download another application. We're using WeChat as the interaction layer. And then based on that, you can use Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. It doesn't really matter what chat application you're using. We can power the bot behind that.
So I'm going to ask one last question before we wrap up this particular session, and really interesting things to think about, which is taking a look at the crystal ball, which of course I know you guys have to do, and you're challenged by your companies to do. What do you think, and also riffing off something that Todd said to Dell this morning, which is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this entire industry is going to look completely different. Can't say how, can't tell you who's going to do it. I hope it's Priceline. But how do you think that's going to be? And with that, what should people be looking at? One thing specific today, blockchain, AI, what is it that they should be focused on in their companies when they go back to their offices after this conference and they say, this is something we really need to do a deep dive into?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is when they go, you take it. You take the question first. I'll do that.
It's hard to say, but if I simply look at driving efficiency, Travel transactions are a tedious process, and there's a lot of intermediaries. When you look at booking an activity, let's say in India, you go to Priceline, who will source inventory from Viator, and Viator will go to 20,000 other people. So there is a lot of people that actually get paid at several steps in the way. So AI to that effect is going to drive efficiencies because it's a lot less human dependent. And the good thing with AI is it retains knowledge, so you don't have a knowledge transfer problem. Employee number A quits and suddenly what to do. So AI can solve that problem very effortlessly. The other thing with AI/smart technologies is the hotel front desk. It's a necessary evil. No one enjoys that experience, but you still need to have that person, that function manned 24/7. So with AI, you can actually do a lot of cool things with beacons-enabled IoT and AI all combined. There is no arguable need to have a front desk, whether for check-in, check-out, cashiering, invoicing. That function is going to be redundant, if you ask me, in 5 to 10 years.
Wow. Your prognostication from Skyscanner's point of view and your own kind of
Cool.
point of view?
It's pretty straightforward from my perspective. I believe we really need to focus on mobile as a platform. I think for Skyscanner in the meta-search space, if we can maintain a comprehensive search engine that's presented to users in a really amazing way, that allows them to transact and book within one app across multiple markets, and then stores, their ticket information, even their hotels, and is more like a personal assistant within one app. That's a powerful bit of technology, and that's what's happening in Asia with the likes of Ctrip and Tmall, who just lead the way in this space. I think looking at mobile, looking at payments. I don't think we do mobile payments very well. Things like WeChat Pay. I would be focusing on that from my perspective.
Great. Well, Mark and Utpal, thank you so much for your information, your words of wisdom. We could thank them. That would be great.